yesterday this video to recap and review finally everything that I got to read in 2025 and got up to book number 30 and I was just like, you know what, it is time to go to bed and I will finish this live stream tomorrow. It's a totally different time of day, so hopefully it'll still get some viewers, but either way, just gonna get it done and yeah, we'll get this finished. Goku is with me again, my beautiful bearded dragon. She's going to help and talk about all her thoughts on these books, but not really because obviously she cannot talk. But she is here for the journey. So anyway, let's get started. Book number 31 was Let the Right One In. And I actually don't have most of the physical copies with me, but this one book I do have next to me. And so I'll just show it right here. Let the Right One In. How do I pronounce this? John Ajvida Lindqvist. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It is Swedish and it is a vampire novel about children. Once again, if you watched this yesterday, you would know that pretty much everything that I read last year was quite some time ago. This was like April of last year at this point. So, um, yeah, my memory is not all too fresh, but it essentially had to do with choosing morality, what that actually means, finding family, and finding your place in the world and what you're willing to sacrifice in order to find that sense of family. I thought it was a really good story. I thought that it was well written, but it did get a little bit slow towards the middle, so I didn't make it entirely like through it very quickly. It kind of took me a while to get through, but I did think it's one of the better books that I've read in recent times. So I gave Let the Right One In movie early. I don't know what's going on with the internet, but hopefully it'll be okay. But yeah, let the or Bridget Jones here, she'll go back inside. She's getting a little antsy. Bridget Jones's Diary was actually a very fun book. I did enjoy reading it. It's nothing too serious, nothing too meaningful, but it's well written enough. I gave that book a 3.7 stars, written by Helen Fielding, by the way. I totally forgot to mention that. Hi, thanks for watching. The next book was My Husband by Maud Ventura, which was a French novel written in the perspective of a woman who was just like entirely obsessed with her husband. Um, this book was interesting. Oh, thank you. That's really nice. I appreciate that. Um, this book was pretty interesting, but I don't know, something about it annoyed me. I wish my memory of it was a little bit better right now, but I'm trying to remember what I can even say about it. This woman was incredibly obsessed with her husband and was very disturbed and manipulated her husband and did all sorts of things that like she would like punish him by like sleeping with other people if he like spoke to her the wrong way, but then not tell him that she was doing this. I'm not going to give away the ending, but essentially he's kind of aware that she's this psychotic and doesn't isn't really bothered by it, but he just plays games with her in return to um to keep it going. So, I don't know. I thought it was kind of a ridiculous book, to be honest. Like, I often like weird girl fiction type of like dark romance type of stuff, but this I don't know, it just missed the mark for me. It wasn't bad. I ended up giving it 3.6 stars. The next book that do I have that book right now? No, I actually that one was an audiobook and I don't have the physical copies for these books with me like because they're just like in a giant pile for the most part. So I unfortunately I don't have them with me to like pull up. Half of them were audiobooks in the first place. But yeah, I really wish that I did. It would make this a lot easier. But I'm giving the name and the author, so hopefully, like, if you're interested in the book, you'll be able to look it up. Yeah, thanks for understanding. I appreciate it. Um, the next book that I read, this one stood out to me quite a bit. It was contemporary. It was called Forget Me Not by Stacy Billingham. And this was like a murder mystery about a girl who went to work on a muscadine farm. And it turned out that like her sister who was murdered a long time ago had also worked on this farm. And she soon realizes that things aren't quite right. And it's very much like a thriller murder mystery type book. And I really enjoyed this. This is definitely one of the better contemporary books that I've read um, in recent times. Like I tend to think that like older books are better. They have a little bit more soul, but I still enjoy reading what comes out now just to see like what's happening and what's getting published. Um, but yeah, I will say that this was written quite well. It was very entertaining. And funny enough, the reason that I read it is because it took place on a muscadine farm. And muscadines, which is like a very unique type of grape, is one of my all-time favorite foods. So I will read books for like the silliest of reasons. If it has something that I really like in it, even if it really doesn't have much to do with the plot, I'm like, oh yeah, gotta read it. Muscadines. But muscadine season's almost here, and I will most certainly be eating my weight in muscadines as I do every year when they come out. The next book, oh yeah, I gave that one 4.2 stars. The next book I won't talk too long about because it's another like language learning book. It's called Ana Estudiante by Paco Ardit, and it's was a very silly book. I can't say too much. I gave it 3.4 stars. It's just one of those books that people write for you to like help learn Spanish and you practice it because it's written at a very easy level. It's about a student who fell in love with a professor, but I found it very off-putting, to be honest. I ended up reading a couple books by him last year, and I thought they were all like progressively worse. So if you are learning Spanish and looking for books to read in Spanish, like for learners, I really would avoid reading anything by Paco Ortiz. Have I read Wild Robot Escapes? I have not. Would you recommend it? What's it about? Who's it by? I can write it down and I'll look it up later. Let me write it down. So I'm pretty new to doing these live streams, but I like have to get used to like pacing myself because I run out of breath in the middle of talking and then I'm like, oh, okay, you'd recommend it. Awesome. Wild Robot Escapes. I did read a book recently, which I'll be talking about in my like quarter two of 2026 video called The Murderbot Diaries, and I thought that that was awesome. It wasn't like my favorite book of all time, but I did enjoy it quite a bit. Um, but yeah, Wild Robot Escapes. I have it here. I will put it on my list. If anybody, has any recommendations or anything they think I'd like to read, I'm always open to new books. So yeah. Let's see, what was next? Good People, published by Upworthy. This was like a modern day chicken noodle soup. Oh yeah, did I say Anna Estudiante got 3.4 stars? Because just to throw that out there. But yeah, Good People by Upworthy. It was like a modern day chicken noodle soup for the soul. I look, it had a lot of instances of like random people showing random acts of kindness, and of course that's always uplifting. So I can't give this like a completely negative review, but it just felt very corny, very little effort. Um, very surface level. It was like, "Oh, I was at the gas station and this person gave me money to get gas." And it's like, "Okay, cool. Like, I'm glad that there's kind people in the world, but I just wanted something a little more in depth. It felt like kind of a waste of a book, to be honest with you. But it was uplifting, so I ended up giving it 2.5 stars, which isn't terrible. The next book was another one by Paco Ardit, like for the Spanish learning, Muerte en Buenos Aires. And this was like an investigative book. Like it was about a detective. It was okay. The ending was just absolutely ridiculous and just like you have to suspend your belief or suspend your disbelief, I should say, because it just wasn't believable. And for a book that's already just like 60 pages and these are very short pages. It just didn't do it for me. But it does help you learn Spanish, so it does what it sets out to do. So I'm a little more lenient when I grade these books, and for that reason I gave it 3.2 stars. The next book I love this next book. This is one of the best contemporary books I've read in a while, and it's called One of Them by Kitty Zeldis. And oh, sorry, now one second. I would recommend reading the first book if you've not seen the movie yet. I thought that was good to tell you. Yeah, no, don't worry about cutting me off at all. Like I am happy to engage and to, learn about other books that may be available out there or, whatever. It's a live stream, so I'm happy to engage. Um yeah, I'll check it out. I wrote it down. Let me know if you know the author, but I'm sure I'll find it even if you don't. No worries either way. Um, one second. Oh yeah, yeah. So one of them by Kitty Zeldis. I read yeah. So this was a historical fiction, not like very historical. It took place like post World War II, but it also had flashbacks to like during the war, and it was a story covering the journey of these two Jewish women who were going to a school. I want to say it was like a women's school in New York. And this is at a time when like just past the war, what in modern time, like a lot of people are very like anti-Jewish as well, but it was even worse back then. Like right after the war, people who were Jewish were seen as very other, and they were so this one girl was, like, very open about it. She wasn't, like, religious or observant or anything like that, but she didn't hide it at all, and she was outcasted because of it, and the other girl, um, I honestly I so for mods, I don't even know how to set that up, and I don't really have that many people watching, so I don't think that anybody's going to cause any problems, but if anybody starts to cause problems and I have to try to figure that out, yeah, absolutely. Thank you for offering. Um, but I'm so, like, technologically inept, like, I don't even know how to set it up, like, honestly, I would let you, but I genuinely don't know how to do that, and it would just the stream would like turn into me just trying to like figure out how to set it up and possibly accidentally ending the stream because I'd click the wrong button. Yeah. But like I appreciate it. I really do. I'll learn how to do it for my next stream, okay? I appreciate it. Um Oh, yeah, yeah, but for one of them, essentially, this book was very interesting because there was the one girl who was very open about being Jewish, like, she wasn't religious or observant, but, despite the discrimination that she got and the people, like, in her class and her grade that were mocking her, and they even, like, tried to ruin her life. I won't get too into it because I don't wanna spoil it, but, she was very, like, firm in who she was. She didn't hide it. But then this other girl, she she was like very ashamed of it because she had been ridiculed in the past and she was very traumatized by that. So she actually pretended to not be Jewish because her father had changed his last name so you wouldn't even know that she was Jewish anyway. So she hid this and she like got in with the in group even though they would constantly pick on this other girl for being Jewish and like say racist things against her. So it was interesting, she would conform to that because she didn't want to be outed, even though it was like hurtful to hurt people and just like going against her beliefs to do so. And then one day they ended up being friends with each other, but of course, like that eventually grows into a conflict. And this book like goes on so many avenues and twists and turns and journeys. I definitely think that it was a wonderful read, like one of the best written books I've read recently. Great plot, great, like, themes, the female friendship, uh, storyline is very strong, and there's not a lot of books that focus on that. I think it's always, like, a beautiful thing for a book to focus on, so, yeah, One of Them by Kitty Zeldis, I ended up giving that 4.4 stars, a very good read. Now the next book was Unseen by Molly Burke. Now if you don't know who Molly Burke is, she is a blind influencer or I don't even like the word influencer, right? But she is an influencer, but she's also just like a YouTuber, an entertainer. She talks a lot about her life as a blind person and her interests in beauty and fashion and how she does all these visual things even though she can't see. And she talks a lot about accessibility and like equal rights for blind people. And I've just been following her probably for about 6 or 7 years now. So when she released this book, I was very excited. I thought it was well written. It was very insightful. It was it's very impressive, that she put this I mean, I don't know. I think that she gave a little bit of insight into how she wrote this book, and it was, like, through audio, or maybe I'm mixing this up exactly, but the process was very interesting to how she ended up writing this book, and I thought it was so cool, and the book was great. I mean, it wasn't, like, the greatest thing I ever read, but I definitely enjoyed it, and it provided a lot of insight, so I gave it, 4.2 stars. Okay, this next book I'm not even gonna talk about for more than, like, a second because I don't really even consider it a book. Yesterday I was saying, like, I'll occasionally read children's books in Spanish because my Spanish is so poor that those are really the only books I can understand other than books that are written for people who are learning Spanish. So I found this children's book called, ¿Qué día es hoy?, which is, like, "What day is it?" by Alex Moran. And I gave that 1.5 stars because, I mean, even that's generous, but you have to understand, like, once I bought it, I was like, "Oh, this book's literally written for, like, a one-year-old." It's like the type of book that's written for a child that's so young that they wouldn't even read it themselves, like, the parent would read it to them, and it was, like, 5 pages long, and it was about, like, an aunt who, like, everybody forgot his birthday, but they didn't forget his birthday because, like, they were planning him a surprise birthday party. I mean, it was stupid, but, it's on the list, so there you go, 1.5 stars. Um, I look like I can fight. That's funny. It's probably been about 20 years or so since I've gone into a fight, and it didn't turn out well. I'd do my best if I had to, but I'm not a very violent person. That's funny though. I honestly like I'll take the compliment. Um, let's see. The next book is I Want to Die, but I Want to Eat Tteokbokki by, and I really apologize if I'm mispronouncing this, by Bak Sahi. And it's a Korean author who sadly actually died like right before I read this book. And obviously like there's a bit of irony there because the book was a bit of like it was like a transcription of her meetings with a therapist trying to alleviate her depression and her commentary on it. And I mean, I can't say that's like much of a book because it's not like she wrote a story and most of it was transcribed, it wasn't even really written, so it's hard to truly consider that to be, like, a legit book, but it was interesting, it was insightful. I always find it interesting to, like, have any insight into Korean culture because like South Korea, I mean, North Korea and South Korea are like so completely different, right? But South Korea, the women there just face such immense pressure to look and behave a certain way in order to be accepted. And I think that a lot of the people there, um, both men and women, but like I know more about how what women have to deal with there from what I've read. And I don't know, it just makes sense that a lot of them would face depression because it's like if they don't fit a certain standard, they really struggle to connect with other people. And then the ones who do fit the standard have such superficial connections for the most part. So it's very sad. But yeah, I did enjoy the book. I couldn't say it was phenomenal, but I did give it 3.7 stars. Um Also, tteokbokki is like I can understand the sentiment of, like, staying alive just for the joy of eating that because that is such a phenomenal food, and I do love food, and I think it's one of life's greatest pleasures, so I I don't know, I thought the title, like, I resonated with it even though, like, I very much enjoy life. Um the next book was nonfiction. It was What We Get Wrong About Crocodiles by Jake Miller. I read this one for work because for pretty much like up until a couple of weeks ago, I was working with alligators and oh it wasn't what we get wrong about crocodiles. It was what we get wrong about crocodilians, which is like the family that alligators and crocodiles and a couple other species that are similar like belong to. And it was pretty interesting. I don't know how many people here are actually going to be interested in learning about that or hearing about this book, so I'll just keep it short. I'll say I gave it 3.9 stars. It just talked about, the common misconceptions that people who work in the crocodilian world have. I did learn from it, so I think the writing was pretty good. I don't remember too well. It was pretty short. Okay. The next book I also read for work, but I also read it in Spanish because I'm trying to improve my Spanish and that's not going very well. Um, but the next book was called Alligator o Cocodrilo, and it was by Jennifer Shields. I actually think this was a translation. I think it was written in English. Jennifer Shields sounds like a pretty English name. Hi, welcome back. Hold on one second. Oh, yeah, so you're talking about yeah, so I'll just read the comment. It says, "Did you ever listen to the girl that escaped Korea recently? I think she was on Rogan a few years back, came to America weighing around 75 pounds, kind of interesting." And you're talking about Yeonmi Park, and I actually have read both of her books, and I talked about them yesterday. I think she's very interesting. I think she's been through a lot. I relate to a lot of her perspectives on what's happening to modern civilization and like how we're losing a lot of our freedoms here and people don't always see it. It's very, very interesting to hear it from her perspective. I think her story is absolutely incredible. Yeah, I'm very interested in Korea in general, like North and South Korea. So yeah, yeah, definitely. I completely agree. She's an incredibly interesting person. If anybody watching is interested, her first book was called In Order to Live by Yomi Park, and her second book is While Time Remains. The first one was more about like how she escaped North Korea. The second one is more about like her political views and how she sees America going in the same direction that North Korea was and in like moving into the conditions that she worked so hard to escape from. Okay. I'm laughing because like I talk so much on this and I like run out of breath and I just have to like pace myself a bit. Yeah, yeah. Yeonmi Park. It's Yeonmi and then Park. I hope you enjoy it. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, but I was talking about Alligator or Cocodrilo, and it was like a children's book, but it was very informative. It showed a lot of the differences, like how you can tell apart alligators and crocodiles. And this is something that I would talk about during my work. I actually used to do shows in the Everglades, with alligators. So that was probably one of the coolest jobs I ever had. I had to stop because I got pregnant. So, it wasn't really safe to work with alligators while you're expecting a child, you know? But I did love that job very much. And it was fun to, just read all these books and learn as much as I could about alligators while I was doing it. How old is my lizard? Goku, how old are you? She's probably, it's hard to remember exactly. I want to say I got her at the end of 2022. So she's almost 4 because she was like just born when I got her. So I'd say, yeah, she's almost 4 years old. They can live to be like up to 16 if you take really good care of them, but they usually have a lifespan of about 10 years, maybe like 6 at the least, and then like 16 at the absolute most. I love her so much. It's it's hard to express like how much you can bond with a reptile. Like they're never gonna love you the way a dog will, but it's cool to just even be able to get like a reptile to trust you and to interact with you and to because the reptiles are a lot smarter than people give them credit for. So used to have one, but mine passed away. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. They don't live as long as would be like ideal and it's always sad. I lost one as well, but I adopted her when she was already old and she just didn't she wasn't gonna make it. Um Hello Cupcake. What a strange I mean hello, thanks for tuning in. I always find it strange when people like give people they don't know nicknames like that. But, not trying to criticize you, it's just like, "What?" Um, you know, I don't know. I guess there's, like, a bit of a flirtatious connotation for anybody who's watching this. I am engaged and pregnant, so, like, you might be barking up the wrong tree there. But, let's keep it moving, let's keep it moving. Alligator, oh, yeah, yeah. So, I gave, Alligator or Cocodrilo, 3.8 stars. Love criticism. Hey, you know what? I can appreciate that because a lot of people aren't open to criticism. And if you're not open to criticism, how are you ever going to improve? It doesn't mean that everything that people say in criticism is worth believing or like is truthful or isn't just something that's said to be hurtful. But if you're open to it, that's how you grow. So I respect it. Okay, the next book was Making Space by our oh, wait, sorry, I'm skipping some things. Was 3 Days, 9 Months, 27 Years by John Scalzi. And this was actually part of the Amazon Time Traveler's Passport series. I was talking yesterday about the Alibi series. And I thought that was okay. I actually thought this Time Traveler's Passport series from Amazon, like the short story collection, was way better. I was very impressed with most of these stories. I did enjoy this one a little bit more. And this was one of my favorites. I can't remember what was my favorite, but I really enjoyed this. It was about like tourism in time travel and this guy who was working for this company, and everybody for some reason, like if you were to go on a time travel adventure, the only times you could come back were either in 3 days, 9 months, or 27 years. Those are the only like I don't even remember. He explained it in the book, but it's sci-fi. Like you have to explain these things somehow. Um, I don't remember too much about the plot. All I remember is that I really enjoyed it and that it was only about an hour long. It was very interesting. Like they explained the loopholes of the time travel very well, and the story itself was very interesting. People's reasons for traveling through time were very interesting. Okay, hold on one second. Let me it says if you are not criticized, that means you are just impressing wrongly, but when criticized, you see rooms to do even more better. Yeah, 100%. I mean, well, that's the thing, right? It's like if you are not open to criticism, then you're either not open to improving, or let's I'm trying to remember what my second point was. I'm a little tired today. Like I've not been sleeping well. I blame the pregnancy entirely, but if you're not criticized, it means yeah, or you're just doing things to please people, like you said. Like if you're not open to criticism, or if you don't get criticized, like if you're just doing things to make other people happy, then how do you even know who you are or what you stand for in the first place? So yeah, 100%. Okay, next book. One more, this wasn't really a book, but it's still something I read, so I'm gonna include it. It was a National Geographic Kids edition for alligators and crocodiles. Once again, I was learning about alligators and crocodiles from my job. Um, so I thought it was a good edition. I mean, I'm not gonna go into it. I really don't know how much anybody watching this is gonna be interested in alligators, but oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, pregnancy is definitely interesting. Like, it affects your sleep, it affects your memory, it affects your energy levels, it affects your ability to eat. Like, everything changes. So, and it says, "What is the subject?" What are you referring to when you say what is the subject? Are you talking about like what I'm saying with alligators and crocodiles, or I don't know, I'm just a little confused, but maybe that's a pregnancy thing too. Anyway, I'm gonna just keep going. Let me know if you want to clarify and I'll respond. Um, but yeah, so the National Geographic Alligators and Crocodiles by Laura Marsh, I gave it 4.2 stars. It was good, it was informative, it had great photos, like it's everything you could want from a National Geographic, but I didn't rate it higher because it wasn't exactly life-changing or anything. And yeah, I have to like in order for me to give something beyond a 4.5 or even like for past a 4.2, like I really have to feel impacted by it. And I understand that's something that's very hard for, like, a magazine about alligators to do, but, yeah. What's the subject of discussion? So, what I'm talking about today is just books that I read last year. But what I was saying before was that, like, a lot of these books that I read last year had to do with alligators and crocodiles because last year I was working with alligators and crocodiles, so I know a lot of people aren't exactly interested in that, so I try to, like, rush through those book descriptions because I don't think that people really care that much about the books that I was reading, like, on that theme. Um the next book I read was the second story in the Time Traveler's Passport series I was talking about. And how many books did I read last year? Well, okay, if you consider all of these to be books, which I'm not even sure I do, like I said, one was National Geographic, like a few of them are children's books, a lot of them are audiobooks. But I'll say that I read 52 publications last year. And you can be the judge of what you want to consider a book or not. Um, well on track to beat that this year. I am already like up to 40 something. So it'll probably be around 80 by the end of 2026. But that's why for 2026, I'm breaking it down into quarters because um for doing these long videos, like talking about all these books, I either have to do a live stream like I'm doing right now, or I have to break it down into quarters because I don't want to sit there and edit like me talking for 3 hours. Like I don't even have the storage on my phone and I don't have like all this different equipment. Like everything's done on my phone. I film on my phone, I edit on my phone, that's it. Yeah, crocodiles and alligators are very interesting animals. I mean, maybe one day I could do a stream talking about that if anybody actually cares. If you want to, you can go to my shorts. I have a lot of like clips of stuff that I was doing when I was working with them. But they're very interesting animals. I love reptiles, as you could tell. But, they're kinda like big versions of Goku over here, honestly. The ones that if they bite you, they can do a lot of damage, but, if you know how to work with them, they probably won't bite you if if you're smart about how you're handling it, so that's all I'll say about that. I don't mess with crocodiles, but alligators are interesting because while they can definitely bite you and they can definitely kill you, they don't actually see humans as food, which is like a very common misconception. A lot of people think that that like alligators see an adult human and they're like, oh wow, that's a meal. Like it's not. They eat like turtles, birds, fish, small animals. Maybe if like they saw a toddler walking by, they'd consider it food, but yeah, and that's cool. Like reptiles aren't for everyone. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon, hopefully. Have a good one. Bye. Okay. So yeah, Making Space by R.F. Kuang, part of the going back to what we were talking about, back to the Time Traveler's Passport series. I really enjoyed this. This was like about a couple. I think that they weren't able to have a child, and yeah, so but they ended up, like, finding this mysterious child, but he turned out to, like, be from, like, a dystopian future, so that was a pretty interesting story. I gave it 4.3 stars. I do like R.F. Kuang. The only other thing I read by her was Yellowface, which kind of annoyed me because, like, she's very heavily politically biased, as many new authors are, and I just get annoyed when, like, it gets in the way of their writing. Like, I don't really care what your political standings are, but, like, if you can't even, like, tell a story without unnecessarily shoving your politics in there, like, it's one thing if it's relevant to the plot. It was a little bit relevant to the plot, but, like, she overdid it. Um, where am I streaming from? I am in Florida, Broward County, Florida, so yeah, that's why I was working with alligators 'cause I worked in the Everglades, in Everglades National Park for a while, so that was a very cool time in my life. Oh, sorry, I missed this comment. Any interest in the wildlife in Australia? I'm a person that helped my sister move into university. Congratulations, um, to your sister. That's awesome. Dreading the flight and heard the wildlife's insane. I'll be honest with you. A lot of people say like Florida's the like the Australia of the United States, and I get that, like, compared to the rest of the states where wildlife is concerned, we kind of are, but I'm scared of Australia, I'm not gonna lie. Like, first of all, like I was saying, like, alligators are like, crocodiles are in Australia, right? And they do eat large animals, like, they can see a person as food, where alligators, like, they really just wanna be left alone for the most part, so if you keep your distance, you're good. Um, I mean that's very sweet. I mean, it's subjective, right? Like, everybody has their good days and bad days. If you saw me on some days, you probably wouldn't even say that. But I mean, I think all my female friends are gorgeous. So, but to rank them as equal or higher or lower, like, I don't know. I try not to think about people in that way. Um, I look as young as 21. No, I am not 21. I'm actually turning 37 this year. I am like an old millennial. So, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I do often hear that I look younger than I am, but 21 is, like, pretty wild. Yeah, no, 37, born in 1989, or almost 37, but yeah. Um, okay, so yeah, Making Space, I gave that 4.3 stars. Oh yeah, like I was saying, like, I read Yellowface, like, I thought Yellowface was pretty good even though it annoyed me a bit, but, I like R.F. Kuang. I'll probably read more stuff by her in the future, but I'm not like oh, yeah, I think she wrote a story recently called, like, the Type A story. I'm planning on reading that, so you know what? I agree. Everyone's pretty in his or her or their ways. I totally agree. I think everybody has inner beauty. I think that, like, your thoughts and your energy do a lot to transform how your energy is like or how your outer looks are portrayed to the world. Like I think if you are a happy and lovely person and you cultivate a good life, that it makes you more attractive. They're out there. Just, my best advice is to just like live as good a life as you can, and it will attract the right people to you. And don't get discouraged if you meet people who aren't kind, because you're going to come across those people every day. But you have to remember that, like most people who aren't kind, are hurting in some way or another. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. There's a lot of like anger and disappointment in the world, but there's a lot of kind people out there, like, I guarantee you, you'll find them. I don't know how old you are, but, like, just keep, like, staying optimistic and the as life moves forward, if you keep a good mentality and good mindset, like, you're gonna draw good things to you. Okay, the next book on this list was Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. And what's my skincare routine? I actually have the worst skincare routine. I like wipe my face with like face cleansing wipes. That's about it. And maybe it's the pregnancy. I don't know. But can you give me a channel to someone? I don't think I understand. Like, are you looking for a channel to watch, or are you looking just let me know what you mean, because I don't quite understand. No, it's okay, I don't mind, like, I'm happy to talk, that's what live streams are for. Um, you're being respectful, that's all I ask, Thank you. Um, but yeah, the next topic or the next book was Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, who, this was a very interesting book. It was very autobiographical in a lot of ways, but not in others, because am I really pregnant? I look fit as hell. Oh my god. Yeah, I am pregnant. I can show you if you wanna see my belly. I'm 4 months, so I'm not, like, that big. From the front, I don't look pregnant, like, very much. From the side, on the other hand, you can start to see. Pregnant. Oh, I appreciate that. I'm not gonna meet people from the internet just for like safety reasons, and also like I have way too much in my life to just start like inviting people into my life like that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But I genuinely like I'll say a prayer for you, like genuinely, because I know that if you're patient, it's hard to be patient with these things. Like being lonely sucks, and I've spent a lot of my life feeling lonely. But, if you're patient and you put out good energy, like, I do believe the right people will come your way. Thank you for understanding. I appreciate that more than you know. And, like I said, like, I know what it feels like to want more people in your life or good people in your life. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you. I appreciate it. Um Okay, so Giovanni's Room, James Baldwin, he was an African American and homosexual who moved to Paris, and he wrote this book pretty much. It was very autobiographical in many ways, but what was interesting is the protagonist was a white man, and it was pretty much just like the story of falling in love with a very toxic individual and lying to himself about what he really wanted in life, because while he was falling in love with this man who was completely falling apart, Giovanni, um, he also was engaged to a woman who was like out traveling and wasn't even really sharing her life with him. It was very interesting. He was living a double life. And yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe you have a perspective on this story that you would want to share. It was a pretty good book. Um, I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars. I thought, the thing is like older books, they have more they have more depth to them. They have more soul to them. It really touched upon themes of like loneliness and um just like desperation and what madness does to a person, and like what it's like to fall in love with somebody who is self-destructive. I think that this was like one of the best books that I read in 2025. I gave it 4.5 stars. Oh God, this next book, Los Novios by Paco Artit. Why did I read three books by this guy when I couldn't even enjoy it? I love your vibe and personality. Thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. I try to I just try to like not have any pretenses and just put out good energy. I definitely don't do it all the time, but it means a lot to me when somebody acknowledges that. Like I do really appreciate it. Um so yeah, Los Novios by Paco Ardit, another one of those stories that was written by this guy. Why I read three books by this guy in this year or in 2025, like I don't know, because they were all terrible and each one just kept getting a little bit worse. Los Novios was by far the worst one. It was like once again, these are stories that are written for people who are learning Spanish, so they're not really like good writing isn't the priority. But it also annoys me because a lot of people will write books for language learners and hold on, I'm gonna put a pause on this because this is so funny. He said, I would like you to review the book Odyssey. And funny enough, I actually have a copy of that right here. Like, I don't have many books at my table with me, but I do have this because I went to Five Below the other day and they had like all these classic books. And look how nice they are, like with the gold foil and the like what? All these books are $5 each, so I can definitely read the Odyssey soon. I have the physical copy, so I'll definitely do that. But, back to what I was saying about Paco Ardid, like, it annoys me when people write these books and, they rely on the fact that they know people are gonna buy them because language learning books are, like, a very niche market, and because they know people are gonna buy them, they don't actually, like, put in the effort to write them well. It's like yesterday can I send you one? I mean, do you where do you live? Do you not have a Five Below near you? They're literally $5 a piece. I have to keep some boundaries here. Like, I'm not gonna start sending people things and, like, corresponding in the mail. Like, I don't even have time to go to the post office, but, oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that, the positivity. Yeah, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Anybody who subscribes, I'm extremely thankful. I kind of talk about all my interests on here. Like reading is probably the thing I talk about the most, but anything I'm interested in, like it's just a hobby channel, really. So yeah, I definitely will talk more about books, but there might be some other stuff you're interested in as well. Somewhere in Africa. Oh, geez. So yeah, I guess it would be hard to send or to find a Five Below in Africa. They probably I don't know. I don't know if there are any. Um, but yeah, you know what? Like, I don't know if I have my email address listed, but if you email me, maybe we could figure something out. What are my interests? Oh, and I appreciate the compliments. Thank you. Um, what are my interests and hobbies? I have a lot. Um, like obviously I love reading and I love language learning and I just like learning in general. I like learning based games. Like I love chess. I love exploring, living in Florida, like going kayaking, like I'd say hiking, but like here in Florida, there's not much elevation, but like exploring, um, creative stuff like writing, making music, um, making art. I used to be a glassblower. I love reptiles. So there's a wide variety, and there'd probably be more if I had more time. But like, there's only so many hours in a day and so many days in a lifetime. So, I do the best I can. I just find life interesting in general, and I really wish I could live for hundreds of years so I could learn about everything. Okay, enjoy your meal. Thanks. Um, okay. So to continue what I was saying, my rant about Paco Ardit is that yeah, he doesn't really put the effort into his books that a normal any other writer might put in because he just knows that because those books are geared towards language learners that he doesn't have to. But I'll say on the other hand, like there were the Dino Lernt Deutsch series for learning German. I cannot remember the name of the author. I'm so annoyed with myself for not remembering right now. But then there's also like Angelika Bonn, who's written several language learning stories for German learners, and they're phenomenal writers, and they write these great books for language learners. And even though they don't even have to put that much effort in because they will sell either way, they're still great writers in their own respects. So I respect that a lot. I'm never buying another book of Papa Ortiz. It's just he's just a lazy writer. It's not very good. The story was pretty much just two people like, we want to get married, but we're not sure if we should get married. But maybe we will get married. But is that just because society wants us to get married? No, let's get married. No, on the other hand, let's not get married. That was literally the entire book. It was such BS. Um, Hi, welcome back. Thanks. Okay. Yeah, so, like, I'll okay, if you wanna see my tattoos, I'll show you some of them, like, I have more that I can't even show right now, but I'll show you the ones on my arms. Um, let's see. But just to finish what I was saying, I gave that book 2.3 stars. I don't plan on buying any more books from him. It's just a waste of money, and there's better ways to learn Spanish out there, than buying these, like, not so good books. So, okay, this first one, it's like a little cartoon version of my old dog. Her name was Taco, and she was a little chihuahua. I had her until she was almost 17 years old, believe it or not. She was, like, the love of my life. I mean, she died, I wanna say 10 years ago now, which is, like, so sad. Like, I miss her. I still have dreams that she's alive. Like, it's like that. Um this one actually really doesn't have much meaning. I mean, like the imagery itself, you can gather some meaning from because it's kind of like, it's like a glass heart with like a flower, like so life sustained within its own like ecosystem of love. Like you can derive meaning from that, but this was actually a free tattoo. Like I traded I used to do hair, so I did my friend's hair and I got this tattoo in exchange. Like that's really the story behind it. Um I think that's all I have on my arm, so, yeah, I don't have anything else that's, like, instantly available to show. I have one single dot right here that I did myself when I was 18, and I was like a joke. I was like, "It's just a really small tattoo of the entire world," but really, I just wanted to, like, tattoo myself, and then I realized I couldn't see what I was doing, so that's it. That's all I have to show. It's so small you can't even see it, like, and I'm not gonna zoom into my chest, so, uh, that's really that. Um the next book, oh god, this was so terrible. Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I gave it 3.2 stars. Now, earlier in the year, I oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Earlier in the year, I read Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, which I spoke about in yesterday's stream, but I thought that was like so much better. Like I actually like that story, while this just kind of felt like an excuse to write about S&M and Spice. It really just felt like it was like the story was there to support what was pretty much just pornography. Like I don't even like to refer to literature like that. I actually gave it 3.2 stars because I guess like the romance itself wasn't entirely terrible. Like the plot wasn't entirely terrible, but how smut this book was and how unnecessarily filled with smut it was, like, it just wasn't for me. I don't mind spice, I really don't. I was saying yesterday, like, if there's a little bit of spice in a book, especially if it serves the plot, that's cool, I'm not gonna hate on it. But when I feel like the book is there to justify the spice, like, she really was just trying to write erotica, like, that's all I can say about it. I gave it 3.2, which I feel like was generous, like, I kinda wanna knock that down to, like, 2.8, but whatever, it's already there. She can have the 3.2 stars. She's not a terrible writer, but, like, I it really turned me off from her, and I hope that if I read anything else by her in the future, that it's not quite on that level of, like, erotica, that it's actually more plot-oriented, and, um, honestly, I just hope she writes more young adult because I don't wanna read this type of material from her, but I don't hate her as a writer at the same time. Okay, okay. The next book was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and I actually really liked Gone Girl. Do I think it was like one of the greatest books of all time? No. It wasn't like so good, but it was iconic. Like the plot was exciting. I enjoyed the movie too. Like I watched the movie shortly after. It was interesting. It was, I don't want to say unpredictable, like it was kind of predictable, but it was a very interesting and unique story, especially for the time it was written, and I enjoyed it. I wish I remembered it better than I did. it's pretty much, this girl who, like, frames her husband. I feel like I just spoiled some of it. I do apologize. Like, I try not to give spoilers in these things, but she goes missing and, like, she pretty much, like, makes it look like it was her husband, but, like, she's behind it. Sorry for the spoilers. Like, I really am not gonna delete this whole stream because of that. But it's still worth reading even if you know that one thing. But that is a major spoiler point, so my apologies. Book I gave that 4.2 stars. The next book is Waylon, the autobiography of Waylon Jennings, which was written by Jennings and Lenny Kaye. If you don't know who Waylon Jennings is, he is one of my favorite musicians. I didn't like country music at all for most of my life, but in my 30s, I started getting into it more. Not like new country, I really couldn't care about that at all. I don't really like new music very much. Some of it I do, like more alternative or like electronic stuff. Like if it's unique, I like it. I like unique music, but Waylon Jennings is just a one of a kind musician that is so underrated, and so many people are just gonna like brush him over because they're not interested in country music. But in my opinion, he's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. He's like kind of rock, kind of country, kind of folk. Um, he also has like a crazy like history and what's the word I'm looking for? Hey, nice to meet you too. He's just done a lot of work in his life. Sadly, he's not with us anymore, but he definitely was a legend. He was also like the narrator of the Dukes of Hazzard, like which I didn't even watch, but like I think it's cool that he did that. Um Waylon Jennings is a legend. And also the audiobook, which is what I did. I did the audiobook for this one. He was um he was the narrator and it just felt like listening to him talk, like you're having a conversation with him. And I can't say it was like an incredible book. Like I actually ended up reading his wife's biography later on, which I thought was way more insightful into his life than his own autobiography. But I did enjoy it. I gave it 3.8 stars. And the final book on this list, and just in time for Christmas, right? Es Canción de Navidad para Estudiantes de Español, which means a Christmas carol for students of Spanish. So it was just like a simplified version of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, but the author, it didn't even have an author. It just came from a company called Read It. So that's who wrote it, was Read It, and they just simplified the story down so if you're it's you don't have to read like the full thing. It's just for beginner learners of the Spanish language. And it was good. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm gonna have to read the actual like A Christmas Carol at some point now because I feel like I don't feel like it was the real book, so it kind of like irks me. Maybe this Christmas I'll actually read like the Charles Dickens book. You know what? That's gonna be a goal for this year. We're gonna read that this year. Um, and that's it. That was the last book. I gave that 3.9 stars. I have a feeling that I'm going to give the actual A Christmas Carol a higher rating, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out for that. Um, hey, thank you so much to everybody who tuned in and watched. I am really glad to have you guys here, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. And I hope to see you in the next one. I'll try to do more of these. Like now that I'm not working anymore, I'm just like preparing for the baby. Just I'll have more time to do this. So yeah. Thanks guys. Have a great day. Bye.